Gen Z is not employable. And that day we went for a shopping and she shot for me something like boyfriend jeans.
Yeah.
I said, what is it? She said, it's a new trend, mom. We enter into their room, say, ये सही नहीं है, वो सही नहीं है, ये गलत है. But understand, you said you are their friend.
How do we let them follow their purpose and passion while actually also making sure academics is still important in this world, right?
So their mindset at that point was survival, fixed job, and the settlement. If someone is not using AI,
Yes.
they will not be relevant. All the universities are trying to implement these kind of a model where we can
Namaste and a very, very warm welcome to our podcast, Women of Wonder today. I'm your host and the host, Reema Mahajan, and this is our initiative to bring to you stories of empowered and ambitious women so that we can all take inspiration from them. Today, we have a special guest from the world of education joining us, someone who's shaping the future of global learning right here in the UAE. We welcome Dr. Richa Arora, COO of University of Stirling at our show today. At the helm of University of Stirling, Russell Al Khaimah campus since 2020, Dr. Richa Arora has been a driving force in turning the institution's philosophy from imagination to impact into reality. Under her visionary leadership, the campus has grown into a prominent transnational education hub in Ras Al Khaimah, blending academic excellence with the real-world relevance. From quality-driven teaching initiatives to a new purpose-designed campus environment, every effort has been focused on creating a holistic learning experience. This commitment has recently recognized with a prestigious Diamond rating in the 2025 ROC by DOK, the Department of Knowledge, Russell Al Khaimah. If you've been curious about international education right here in the UAE or what makes the Stirling campus one of the most loved universities right here, this podcast is here for you. Welcome to the show, Dr. Richa. It's lovely to have you here today.
Pleasure is all mine, Reema. Thank you very much for calling me here.
I am
Really
looking
pleasure.
forward to this conversation unfolding. I think you've had an incredible journey in the education space, right? I want to start from the very beginning. What motivated you to move in the education space and what drives your passion today?
Actually, to be very, very honest, if I look back 20 years back, I don't think so. I was supposed to be into education. So I'll not say it was a plan, it was accidental. So let's go back like 20 years back. If I remember, being a firstborn child in my family, and coming from the academically sound family, I was supposed to be a doctor. And all the preparations were towards being a doctor. So I had given all the examination like DPMT, AFMS, everything like that. And then I could not get the seat. And it was just, I think, 8 to 10 waiting list, and I could not clear. And then my mom was like, okay, no problem, let's take it on the payment seat. I said, sorry, since that time, I think I was a girl who was like principally driven. I said, no, I don't want your kharcha at all. I'll take it a free seat. So at that time, if you remember, it was like PCM and B together.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
So fortunately, I had a PCM also.
Right.
So I said, okay, nahi hua doctorate mein. So it's just fine. Let me do something with the engineering. But the mindset of my parents was either doctorate or being a teacher.
Okay.
Why? Because you remember, it was like it's a noble profession.
Yes.
So in that family, it's a noble profession, and only 2-3 professions are like that where you can contribute towards the society.
Right.
So I could not understand that time. Yeah, just like 18-20 saal ke bache, I just could not understand it, but it was imbibed in me. So I took the engineering, and then also I got the environmental engineering. No mechanical, no computing, no IT, because I was looking at the screen, this seat is gone, this seat is gone, and only thing left is environmental engineering. My dad said, okay, let's take environmental engineering. And one of my friend was standing, not the friend, now friend, but that time was like a participant who was taking some admissions. He said, it's better to take admission rather than cooking at home. I said, wow, what a thought. Matlab admission isliye le lo because
Yes.
you don't want to cook at home.
Yeah.
I said, okay, environmental engineering, took the environmental engineering. So I got a job in this Delhi Pollution Control Board, and that time the salary was like 10,000. My mom was very, very happy. Meri ladki settle ho gayi hai, and then you should get married, and your family is settled. Bacha karo, settle ho jao. I'm like, really? You have such a big plans? I never thought about that. And I told to my dad, sorry, I cannot continue this. He's like, why? I said, I don't get a kick. I'm not getting a feeling that this is for me. And he was very supportive that time, and he said, okay, if you don't want to do it, resign. I did that. Then I started my MBA. And from there, the journey, my journey into leadership really, really started. And after MBA, again, my mom, no, okay, doctorate to nahi hua, but at least let's do some teaching thing now. And she got the form of UGC NET, University Grant Commission for the lecturers and professors. I said, seriously, you want me to do that? Yeah, just try, no problem. So I gave my UGC NET, and the first attempt I cleared it. And she was the most happiest mother on the planet. She's
Sapna
like,
pura kar diya
sapna
aapne."
pura ho gaya unka. And like, okay, teacher ban jao ab. Now, teaching profession wasn't easy. It's not that you just go and stand in front of the class and do that. Then after MBA, I realized UGC NET ho gaya hai, and then what must I do? So at that point in time, in our age, in our time, if you remember, there was, in the newspaper, they used to give some kind of ads.
Yes.
So in Delhi, I saw there is an ad for assistant professors, and interviews are going on. I said, okay, let's try. So me and my mom went to, Delhi, there was one place called as Rithala. There was one IP University institution. We went for the interview. And that day, I think they didn't have much of the staff for the invigilation. So the dean called me and said, would you like to do invigilation? I said, what is this? He said, you just need to stand in the class and people are writing examination. You just need to invigilate. I looked at my mom. She said, yeah, very good. She jumped into the conversation and she's like, wow, ye kar legi, bilkul kar legi. So I went for the invigilation and stood there for 3 hours. And then at the end, they gave me just $300. I said, what is it for? He said, you did that. And like a child, no, in our family, we don't take money. Please, sir, this is for you. And he's saying, no, you earned it.
You earned it.
I looked at my mom. No, sir, this is all for you. Please take it. They said, no, this is what you have earned. So carry it with you. I said, okay, mummy, 300 rupees. It's very, very nice. Chalo, let's do party. She's like, sir, what about the interview? He said, interviews are happening. So you do one thing, come tomorrow. And that's how I entered into the university thing.
What an interesting entry.
Yeah. So I think that university decided my fate to be into that. But I wasn't born for only teaching.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of leadership qualities that time. And I was a leader because I was the firstborn, used to carry a lot of my family burdens that time or the responsibilities. Yeah. So it was natural instinct into me. And that's how it happened. I entered into the university and moved into the ladder of leadership. And immediately after that, I got married. So I got married at a very early stage of my life. And after marriage, 10 months, I became a mother. And that time I was thinking, really, this side is a job. This side is my daughter. I don't know what am I supposed to do. But I think God had some other plans. And I didn't quit the job. So 9th day, I delivered a baby.
Wow.
After 10 days of delivery, I started my job back.
Wow, look at the grit and determination to go back to work.
Just to go back. And then I realized that it's very, very nice because one side, my daughter was growing, and one side, my career was growing.
Yeah.
And I could able to see what changes and what impact she has in the school, what kind of a thing she's liking, what kind of thing she's not liking. And I used to come back, adapt those things and give it to my child. So she's like, for me, it was like my research project, that I could able to take it from my university, give it to her, and she's growing. And when I entered into the leadership stage, by that time, she was already a Gen Z, or you can say a teenager.
Yeah.
So now I became a mother of a teenager who is growing, whose mindset is entirely different. Whereas what's happening in the university life is entirely different. So learning from her and embedding into my teaching and my leadership, I think created a miracle, because I could able to understand what Gen Z is looking for and what millennials could not give it to them. So if we able to combine it together, which is not controlling, which is connecting. So if we're able to connect with them and come down to their level, I think that can create wonders. And that's what I think helped me in my leadership career. What passionates me is making them see growth. So whenever I meet parents, they say, or the employers, they say, Gen Z is not employable. And the moment I hear this, I'm like, how could you say that? They are not born to be employed. They are born to be a leader. And when we say leader, they have creativity. They have got adaptability. They have got certain skills which we also don't have it. So if we combine the millennial mindset and the creativity of Gen Z, I think we can create wonders. And that's what keeps me going. And whenever I go to university, I think that's what I try to do. I connect with my students. I don't try to control them. I connect with them. I understand them, because I have a teenager daughter with whom I'm like a friend. I'm not like a mother and a daughter. We are like friends. And that's what takes me to my, I think, leadership role.
Amazing. That's such an inspirational story. Honestly, you're a big inspiration, because I can see through your journey, you've been challenging the norms. You'll be like, I will go for a job, and I'm not going to settle for a government job and settle for that, job for life. I want something more in life. And I'm cut out for leadership. So and I think we need more of women like you to tell the stories to the world, because there is a woman out there who probably got settled and did not challenge the norms and did not go to her father and say, "Meko ye job nahi karna hai because I'm cut out for something better."
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for sharing that story and sharing that incident with us. I want to talk about parenting of today. Right, you touched on in towards the end that how you learn from your teenage daughter and you're trying to connect. How do you see parenting evolving today in today's fast-paced world? And and especially today it's like a tech-first world, right?
Yeah.
How can we as parents, and I have little kids right now. My daughter is 6, my son is 9, so I'm getting into that teenage phase very soon, right? So what would be your advice for parents of today in terms of adapting for this tech-phase world?
Reema, actually, it's a very emotional question, to be very, very honest. I'll not be talking now as a university leader, or the education leader. I'll be answering this question as a mother. Sure. Yeah. And I'll raise some questions to the mothers or the parents of this generation. So we are raising the kids who are different than us.
Yes.
And we understand that, right? And when I ask question to the parents, they say, we try to be their friends. Okay, very, very good. At least some mindset shift is happening that we have to become their friends. But what friends do? So let's take a scenario. If my daughter, I take the example of my daughter, if she's going through a breakup, if she's going through some emotional challenges, am I available to her? Right? If I'm available to her, how? So for example, she's going through a breakup. She comes to me, "Mom, I'm going through something." What would be my reaction? My reaction would be, "How could you do this?" If I say so, am I a friend? Or am I a mother? So instead of that, if I say, okay, you are going through a breakup, what is something which is bothering you? And she tells me or narrates her story. And then again, my mother instincts comes up and say, how dare this guy doing this to you? How dare you going out in the evening? Why didn't you tell me that? The moment you do this, you are breaking the connection. And the most important part in the friendship is connection.
Right.
Why do we connect? Because we don't judge each other, right?
Yeah.
We respect each other genuineness. We respect each other's space.
Right.
We respect each other's emotions. But being mother, even if I'm saying I'm your friend, but my motherly instinct just runs into it and say, "Meri beti ke saath aisa nahi ho sakta."
Right.
But at that point in time, I realized, because my daughter has gone through it, I was just a good listener. Whatever she was going through, I was not judging her, because that's her journey. everyone will go through that journey. And if we remember our
Yes,
time,
yes.
I think we also have gone through
Yes.
it. So we have to respect rather than being very, very protective.
I think we tend to be
It's-
protective.
Yeah, we tend
I
to
think
be
we
very,
want to protect our kids from anything
Absolutely.
going wrong, but sometimes they need real life
yeah.
experiences.
So my point is, let them grow. So it's all about nurturing a tree in your farm or nurturing a tree in some outside world. When it's in the outside world, they know how to gather the strength and become strong. But what we are doing is we are not watering. We are giving milk to the foundation of our kids, being overprotective.
Yes.
Yeah. So let them go through the experiences, listen to them, comfort them, but don't be very, very judgmental. Try to connect with them. That's very, very important. And the second thing I've realized is when we say friends, it's give and take. You expect as a parent that they listen to you, but are you listening to them? So recent example, I give it to you. So me being into the the professional world,
Yes.
I usually wear very the formal attire.
Yeah.
So whenever you used to go out, she tells me, "Mama, don't you have anything better to wear?" I said, "Vanshika, this is very, very nice."
Yes.
She says, "Mama, we are not going for a meeting.
Yeah.
We are going out." I said, "Can you help me in designing my wardrobe?" She was like, "Okay." And that day we went for a shopping and she shopped for me something like boyfriend jeans.
Yeah.
I said, "What is it?" She said, "It's a new trend, Mom."
Yeah.
I said, "Okay." She designed my wardrobe. And trust me, whenever we go out now, when I wear those attire, we get connected.
Yeah.
It's a small thing.
It's you look like her, right?
Yeah,
The likeness
absolutely.
always attracts two people
Absolutely.
together, right? That's a
Absolutely.
law of attraction, basically.
Absolutely. And then she got connected to me. And she realized that Mom is listening to me. And I respected her opinions and even changed myself because of her opinions. Right?
So sometimes we as parents have to change.
Absolutely. So you need to come down to their level to understand what is happening in this particular world, which is more about swiping, which is more about yes and no,
Yeah.
which is more about 30-second
Shorter
span,
short
shorter
attention-
span.
attention spans they have, yeah.
And then what we do is immediately we start giving them lectures. We enter into their room, say, ye sahi nahi hai, wo sahi nahi hai, ye galat hai. But understand, you said you are their friend. Friend never do it. They never comment on कि तुम्हारा कमरा कैसा है.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So connect to them at every level.
Yes.
And one thing which I have done is she's very good in art and I'm very bad. In our time, I think so, we never had a skill kind of a thing.
Yeah,
So,
I
it was
think
all
it was-
about mathematics, science
Yes.
and all those subjects. So I said, Vanshika, this art thing, can you teach me? She said, you really want to learn? I said, yeah, I want to learn. So every Saturday and Sunday, she teaches me. So we have swapped the roles,
Yeah.
Now I have become a student. She's something giving to me and she's feeling very, very proud that my mom is getting something out of me.
Right.
And that's called as connection.
Yeah.
And in that time, I just give them very, very life lessons, whatever I want to tell her, whatever happened in your relationship,
Right.
where you went wrong, what should have been done in a very shorter way.
Yeah.
Just like a feeder in between. When you
Yes.
add that ad,
Yes.
just do that and see the wonders.
That's really wonderful. So
And
you
this
have
is
to
what-
come down to their level, be their friend, and then connect,
Absolutely.
and then the connection can actually create magic.
So it's more about no controlling,
okay.
only connecting.
No controlling.
real
That-
way.
I think that's a beautiful tagline. So no controlling, only connecting with your youngsters and your teenagers in today. But I'm going to ask you to wear the other hat now, right? The
Okay.
professional hat. Marks, spreadsheets, degrees, titles. This is, we as parents also have that role to make sure, they are studying, they are
Yeah.
getting their marks, they are completing their homework, they are up to speed in what's happening in school, right? We don't want to be a friend enough that hum bolenge ye sab kuch chhod do, right? But how do we balance the two? How do we let them follow their purpose and passion while actually also making sure academics is still important in this world, right? You still cannot ignore it. So what's your take on that?
Okay, very appropriate question, I think so. इसके लिए we have to go back to the history.
Okay.
Okay. why we are like this, it's because of our foundation, right? So
Yeah.
understand, our parents have seen the difficult times.
Yeah.
They have seen the partition. They have seen the struggle.
Yeah.
They have seen the survival thing, which
Yeah.
was very, very difficult at that time. So their mindset at that point was survival, fixed job, and the settlement. Am I right? That has been passed on to us.
Yes.
And we were very good, to be very, very honest. We could able to, it's like a survival theory fitted very well for us. 9 to 5 job, very, very nice. Job security, regular income. And for that, what we needed? We needed good degree. We needed good marks. We needed good titles. Am I right? So for us, it was very, very good. But now, if you see, the time has changed. It's not about survival, right? It's not about security, because we have already reached to the level, we have already built a foundation now,
Right.
which is very, very strong.
Okay.
And now we are telling our kids, जो हमने किया तुम्हें नहीं पता कितना मुश्किल था, तुम्हें भी ये सब करना पड़ेगा. The moment you say that, my question is why? You have already built a foundation. When you have built that, the time has come when they have to grow this to a different level. So, recently one of my students, they have got job through our placement cell, University of Stirling placement cell. And he did job for 3 months and he came to me, said, ma'am, I have resigned. I said, why? And he came with his parents and his father is like, madam, मैंने 30 साल job किया, 30 साल job मैंने आज भी मैं continue कर रहा हूँ और ये 3 महीने में छोड़ के आ गया है. I said, maybe you have built a first floor.
Yeah.
Now time has come to make us skyscrapers.
Yes.
So it's not about disrespect. It's about evolution, right? So these days, when the professions like photography, when the professions like AI, when the professions like very creative professions have come up, how come we only think about IQ and not think about EQ? Or not think about CQ, that is creativity quotient? Am I right?
Oh, interesting.
So-
IQ, EQ, and CQ.
CQ.
CQ is the first time I'm hearing this
it's
word.
like
Okay.
a creativity quotient, which
Okay.
is there in one side of our brain is very, very creative.
Right.
So you want your child only to be good into academics, or you want them to grow, to explore, to create different things and do something which is better than yours. So are we afraid that they will create better than us? Or do we really want to make them do something which we have never expected? If they want to do that way, you have to tell them, I have built this for you. Grow it. And for that, you need the growth mindset. Right? So no more the stability mindset. It's all about the growth mindset. And that's what you need to give to your kids these days. Don't settle for less when they can be the change leaders of this current economy. Why you want them just to be an employee? Don't do that.
Don't do that. So give them freedom enough that they can figure their way around.
They will figure it
They
out.
will figure
Plus,
it out.
you tell me it's not about survival and safety anymore.
Yes.
You have already accumulated wealth.
Yes.
Right? So do you want to pass on legacy in terms of bank balance and houses? Or do you want to pass on the legacy where they could able to get the freedom to go through their dreams and build something for the society?
Yes.
What do you want to do? As a parent, you need to decide that.
Right. And also the nature and evolution of jobs is changing, right?
Absolutely.
From our times, when you and I grew up, we were like engineer ban sakte ho, doctor ban sakte ho, teacher ban sakte ho. Those are the 3 lines you could do, right? At that point. But right now, you can be so much beyond. You can become, AI is growing. I want to touch on AI now, actually, right?
Yeah.
So AI is rapidly reshaping industries, right? What's your take on that? And how do we prepare the students of today to be more AI adept? Well, how are the universities today evolving to take care of this, right? And evolve the leaders of tomorrow here?
See, AI is an integral part for us. So if someone is not using AI,
Yes.
they will not be relevant.
Okay.
To be very, very honest. And that's what education system has also realized it. That AI should be the integral part of us.
Okay.
So whether it's in curriculum, whether it's in pedagogy, whether it's in examination, whether it's the proctored exams, anything from flexibility to hybrid models to face-to-face learning, we are embedding AI. And we are coming out with the AI driven labs also for our students, you know, so that they get experience into the AI world, because that's what's going to happen now. Billions of dollars has been spent on AI. And if we are saying we are not going to touch AI, I think we will not be relevant anymore.
Right.
So from any field, whether it's science, whether it's arts, whether it's photography, whether it's conventional art, whatsoever you are doing, AI would be the part of it. But the most important question is, how are you going to use AI? Is AI going to drive you, or you going to drive AI? And that's how you need to prepare your future generation, that they have this emotional quotient into them, which will make them different from AI or the robots.
Right.
How you will able to take out work from the AI, that's what the mindset you need to develop.
Right.
And that's how universities are preparing students now, which are emotionally learned, emotionally intelligent, understanding what kind of AI requirement is there outside the world, and making them ready for the future world.
Yeah, and that's the need of the hour.
That's the
right?
need of the
It's
hour,
really
absolutely.
interesting. You know, as much as I know about AI, my 9-year-old uses ChatGPT to do his homework.
Absolutely.
So
Which
that's
is
where
correct.
that's where he's
Which is
evolving, right?
absolutely-
So they don't need to learn the history and the geography in the way we learned it. They have a very different application mindset of let me apply it, basically.
So
right?
the most important thing is application of knowledge. So it's no more required that you mug up you remember our examination system.
You know, the civil
where we need to-
exams and the history
Absolutely.
exams and learning dates by age and all of that.
Do we really need it? So my
I've
thing
never
is-
used it.
Yeah. This education system has to evolve
Yes.
from mugging up to the application based.
Yes.
And that's how we are bringing lot of application based tangible items, or the tangible measures
Right.
into our university pattern too. And that's what we are providing to our students. For example, when we say, so I usually use this phrase that millennials or the baby boomers teaching Gen Z or gonna be Gen A, how relevant it is. Either millennial has to go up to a level of Gen Z so that they understand the language, or Gen Z has to come down to the level of millennial, which is not gonna happen.
Yeah, less likely to happen.
less
for
likely
sure,
to happen.
Right? So,
yeah, which means that millennial has to move up
Move
to
up.
the level of Gen Z. How?
Yes.
By 2-3 things. I think so. It's like a 3-loop strategy, which
Okay.
we recently applied at University of Stirling. It's like a through faculty immersion program.
Okay.
So what we do is, it's not only about students who will go for the internships in the industry.
Okay.
But faculty also now will go to the industry
Right.
and learn the skills of application into the class.
Right.
So 3-loop strategy is, one side is the industry, because we need industry, because we are learning a lot of things from them. Plus, they are the one who are the future employers or the funders for my students.
Yes.
Second is the faculty. So we understand they have a lot of experience, right?
Yeah.
They carry a lot of research experience. They carry a lot of real life experience, which has to be given to the students, Gen Z, right? So we have made like faculty will take care, will make some kind of a project with the industry.
Right.
And will under them, there will be 4 or 5 students.
Okay.
And they together will be mentoring the students for the future requirements. So recently we have got some kind of the requirements from one of the industry, company, I can't take the name, but they are working on the smart cities.
Okay.
And there, what we have done is we are the part of that particular company where faculty, students, and industry together working on one project for the duration of like 4 to 5 months. And the outcome would be like research projects
Right.
and the case study, which will be utilized in the entire Stirling fraternity. So imagine that kind of a concept where students also learning, faculty also learning, understanding the concept of application. So it's not about content, it's about context and how you are applying that into your pedagogy. That's very, very important. And that's what we are trying. And I think all the universities are trying to implement these kind of a model where we can give them the experience of millennial, understand the the expectation of Gen Z and blend it together in a beautiful way so that a good outcome can come out.
Yeah, it sounds very good. I think it's all the three pillars working together, right? The
Absolutely.
three loop that you said. Everybody has to come together, and everybody is gaining from it also, right? And the millennials get to learn what's happening in the industry. The students, for them, it's amazing exposure
Yeah.
on a real life project, right?
Absolutely.
And the industry
Absolutely.
obviously benefits from your faculty's
Because
knowledge.
they also need future,
Yes.
what do you call the employees?
Yes.
They need that.
Yes.
And if they are mentoring those students
Yes.
in the right direction, they know
Yes.
that their future employees are ready.
Yes, and they get incredible talent through it, right? Which
Absolutely.
is
And they're
nicely
able to
groomed.
mentor them,
Yes.
get the incredible talent. Teachers are also getting the real life experience. Students are also getting the real time exposure to understand how the life looks like outside university,
Right.
which is very, very important.
Absolutely. I
Because
think that's
universities are, I think universities are giving them theory, knowledge, but they are failing to give them real life lessons. And if we do something like that, they'll able to understand how to withstand in the real life world, which is not easy.
Yes.
We know that.
Yes,
We have lived our life.
absolutely, we've done it.
Life outside university is not easy. And that's what we are trying to help our students, that they understand how to stand in the real life world, because challenges out there are a lot.
Absolutely, agreed.
Yeah.
And life after university is so different than the life in universities. So honestly, when I came to Sterling a couple of weeks ago, right, I was like, oh my God, I want to go back to university. And you were living that every day.
Every
The
day.
good part of it is seeing young, nurturing teenagers grooming into something so beautiful and
Yeah.
shaping up their lives. So I think universities and education sector and all the teachers and leaders like you play such an important part in almost streamlining and building our economy for the next decade.
We are trying
or
our level best.
Yes.
Trust me, Reema, we are learning a lot from our students.
Yes.
They are the one who show us the direction. They come out with some kind of ideas which we have never even imagined.
Right.
And that's like a food for thought. Wow. Yeah, this is doable. Let's do it. So it's like mutual giving, to mutual understanding, mutual respect, mutual giving, mutually coming out with something which is beneficial for both the parties. Like
Right.
for us also, being university, very, very good. For students also, it's very, very good. But the only thing is openness. We should be open to understand their perspective, integrate it into our system, and then take it out for the world.
Totally
I think
agree.
That's what we are trying to do.
Totally agree. I think I totally agree. So that was really interesting. But I'm going to move on to my next section, which is called Direct Dil Se, or the Rapid Fire Round. So जो भी आपके दिल से आता है ना, आप वो आंसर करिएगा.
ठीक है.
My first one. Ready?
Okay.
One skill that will never go out of demand.
Adaptability. Life is changing, world is changing. So do you.
Wonderful. What is more important in students, EQ or IQ?
EQ. Because IQ you can still teach, but EQ is something which makes the great leaders.
What is the lesson from parenting that helps in leaderships?
Patience and practice. I think even if in my team, they don't want us to control them, but listen to them. So I think listening is very, very important.
I think listening is important in every field, wherever you are, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
agree.
no controlling. Just try to be with them.
And connections,
Even-
as you said
and
earlier.
connections, yeah.
One outdated belief about education that you would love to change today.
So mark sheets and the marks will take you higher in your life. They won't.
They won't.
Mindset does.
Sometimes backbenchers are the winners.
Yeah, because because they are the one, they know how to pass on their way and reach to their goal. So
Yes.
smartness, it's what we need these days.
Career planning. Do you want to start? Should we start in high school or do we need to wait until college? What's the right time?
To be very honest, start early. It's good to start early, but be very flexible.
Okay.
And see if it's not giving you the way, change it. You have the option these days. You yourself are into the I
Yeah.
think corporate sector,
Yes.
and you have become now.
Yeah, so it can change at any age,
So
right?
age
You
is
have
not
to be
a barrier.
flexible about
So,
it.
but starting early in the sense, just see what you want to become. If you want to be an entrepreneur, start that journey. If you want to be into IT, at least start that journey.
Right.
But any point in time in your life, you can change it. Take it easy. That's what I'll say. No hurry.
Yeah, I always say enjoy the journey.
Absolutely.
Because that's the
journey is
best
very
part, because you're always in a
Absolutely.
journey, right?
Absolutely
agree.
So very true. Yeah.
Okay, one subject that should be mandatory in every school or university.
I'll say two. That is financial literacy and the power literacy.
Okay.
Everybody can earn money, and the outcome of money is power. But very limited people know how to manage your money, and how to balance the power.
That's really interesting. It's
Yeah.
the first time I've heard about power literacy. People do talk about financial literacy because, maybe it's trending, maybe it's the need of the hour, maybe it's something people overlook. But power literacy is really, really
So
interesting.
one thing I've heard it somewhere, if you want to see the true character of a person, give them money and the power and see how they turn out to be.
Yes.
And that's how you judge the personality or the character of a person.
Very interesting.
So I think, it's power literacy is very, very important, so that because I think so, with money, you come to a powerful position.
Yes.
Then how you balance yourself at that point in time, that defines you truly.
Wonderful.
actually.
That's a really good thought, because a leader is one who takes everybody along,
absolutely.
rather than you want to be just me and me in the top.
Absolutely.
Interesting. Grades or creativity? What wins in the real world?
Creativity is very, very important. And that's what I think we spoke about. Because this is the time when you really need a creativity, because you don't want to be a follower. You want to be a leader. And leader should have the creativity.
Interesting. One thing students must unlearn to succeed. So we're not talking about learning here. We're saying what do we need to unlearn to succeed in life?
Fear of failure. So whenever I hire someone, I see how many times they have failed. Because if you have not failed, it means you have not learned. So there should not be any fear of failure. The more you fail, the more chances are that you'll grow in your life, because you learn from your failure. And we have been taught, no, failure is bad. Red mark is bad. Red mark is not a red mark, is a redirection towards
Right.
your goal.
Right, and it's a stepping stone to success over time.
Absolutely.
Success sometimes is delayed, right, for some people on their own journey, and you fail a number of times, but as long as you're standing up and trying
See,
again.
it's a life. It's not a race. Maybe you have reached to a level early, which does not mean that you have succeeded in your life. So everybody has their course of action. Maybe I'll start 10 years late, but I might reach to what my definition of success is. So we can't measure it truly, to be very, very honest.
Very interesting. This is the trend, right, these days. Hybrid learning, the future, or is it just a passing trend?
It's a future. If done it properly within the structures, then it would be a right spot.
Wonderful. And my last one, but the most important one. What is the biggest myth about choosing a university?
That the big names can give you success. That's the biggest myth. It's not about the big names. It's more about the fit of the student, the faculty, and the future readiness. So select university on the basis of that, not only on the basis of the name of the university.
Wonderful. I think that leads me to my next one. Tell us a little bit about University of Stirling from your perspective.
So, the way I mentioned, I think we are growing university. We are like public university. If you see, University of Stirling is 100-year-old university in Scotland. And in 2018, we set up the branch campus of University of Stirling in Russell Kema. I say we are a little different than others because the kind of tangible, the efforts which we are taking towards our students, which makes us different as compared to other university. For example, I mentioned about the faculty internship program to close the loop, three
Yes.
loop strategy for our faculty, industry, and the students. That makes us different. And because we get the real-time application-based knowledge to the classroom. Then second is everybody does internship, but we ensure that our students get the relevant internship in the companies. It doesn't make sense that if student is studying into business with accounting field and they are doing internship into the sales domain, it does not make sense. So we make sure that mapping is proper. We don't only focus on placing students, we focus on preparing them. Preparing them not only for the placement day, but even for the future. So the kind of workshops, the kind of company, people we get onto board. We have a very strong industry advisory board which constantly drive innovation at the campus. They are the one who guide us and the students also that what is required in the future. And that's how we adapt ourselves very, very fast. So you asked what is very, very important. I said one skill which is very important is adaptability.
Yes.
And that's what University of Stirling is also good in. We are very much adaptable to the ideas of our students, to the ideas and the the suggestions of our industry partners, and that's how we drive growth at University of Stirling.
That's wonderful to know, and honestly, we are very happy to collaborate with University of Stirling. I'm just going to do a little plug in here, guys. We have special offers for IWD here, and thanks to the university, thanks to ma'am, we have a special 50% off the tuition fee. This is an offer you don't want to miss. I'll leave all the details in the podcast below. That was really interesting, and let me come to my final question. As a woman of wonder on this show, what's your message to all the women watching this show?
Very good question, and thank you for asking this. Maybe I can add some points here, but before I pinpoint few things, I want us to go back to our early years, when we were growing as girls. What our society used to tell us: you are a girl, you have to make your family, you should be very good in cooking, you should be very good in making your family feel safe. You are responsible for your children. Am I right? When we grew up, these were the feelings which were imbibed into us. And as the time passed by, we realized that it's not only about managing the household, we can do wonders outside the world also. We can be the leaders of tomorrow, we can handle the businesses, we can handle the boardroom meetings, we can do that. We grew to that mindset from the shift from being girl to a woman of the boardroom, but the society surrounding to us, whether it's our parents or the society or any friend or anyone, they didn't grow in their mindset. Their mindset was, if you are going out, you're missing on your family. The strength was that you can do everything, but now that has become your weakness because you are not giving enough time to your family and your children are not listening to you. You might have often heard about this. He is like this because you didn't give time, because you were very much busy in making your career. So, and we often have this guilt, imbibed into us.
Yes.
Yeah, I could not see some moments of my child. So every time in a guilt. I could not be present into the board meeting. I am into the guilt. So I'm constantly into the fear of losing out or into the guilt feeling that I miss something in our lives. But I want to tell you, no, that's not true. After 20 years of experience, and trust me, I didn't take a break even for one day. Initially, I also had some kind of a guilt, but I realized kids understand you.
Yes.
They respect you a lot.
Yes.
Right? When you tell your story to them, they come out to you and say, wow, mom, you have done wonders, right? So never be into your guilt, never be into the guilt of thinking that I could not justify. And one thing I want to say, that we are also living this life for the first time. Our kids are finding out school, peer pressure, Instagram stories, or fashion world. We are also exploring the life of being parent for the first time.
Yes.
Right? So when we are exploring it for the first time, why can't we come to the mutual ground that we are learning from each other? And why female has to be guilted every time कि आप गलत हो, आपने ये नहीं किया? It's okay. So at the end, I want to say it's your canvas. In whatever color you want to fill it. Even the shades of grays or the pinks or the blacks, ultimately it's going to be a piece of art, which if you will not trust on it or if you will not like it, nobody going to like it.
Yeah.
So have trust on yourself. Trust me, being mother, being a woman of... being mother or being into into the business does not matter. As far as you have a trust on yourself that you are doing good and you are making your children proud, that's enough. That's what I think. And that's what the message I want to give. Live your life, yeah. Enjoy the way you said, enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. And every step of this journey is important. Relish it, because tomorrow we don't know whether we are there or not there. So enjoy that and live your life fully.
Beautiful,
That's right.
beautiful message. I think we should have but I think what I really resonated with is it's your canvas.
Yeah, it's your canvas.
You can color it in pink or black or blue, but it's going to be unique and it's going to be only yours. So you need to enjoy it. Trust the journey, enjoy the journey. It's such a beautiful message by our Women of Wonder, Dr. Richa, today. If you enjoyed this conversation where we tried to unfold a little bit about education, about parenting, about raising the kids of today, how millennials can come and meet the Gen Zs, I think the conversation sparked a lot of interesting points that we need to all take home. If you enjoyed this conversation, I'm sure you will share it with your friends and family. Please like and subscribe to this channel, and we'll be back with another Women of Wonder very, very soon.
Lovely. Thank you.